There are still people trickling in here, but let's start. It's great to see so many participants joining us from different regions and organizations across the music and creative ecosystem. My name is Fabian. I am the project lead for MyRap. I am from Hamburg Music, and in today's session, we are going to explore how innovation and networks can be used in the music sector to support more resilient structures. And by the end of the session, you will have gained insights into concrete examples how innovation and networking tools are used in different regions across the Baltic Sea region in this case, and a short peek into how these approaches can be transferred or adapted to your own local context. Like I said, this webinar is part of MyRap, and MyRap is the Music Industry Resilience Acceleration Program. And MyRap is a transnational project funded by the Interreg Baltic Sea region, and it is looking at how innovation and collaboration can strengthen the music ecosystem. Now, let's have a quick look at how we will spend the approximately next 75 minutes. We will start with a keynote, or let's say interview with Helen Sildner, setting a broader perspective on how innovation, networks, and cities all interchange. After that, we will briefly introduce MyRap and then move into the core of today's session, which is a set of practical innovation and networking tools presented by different project partners. And then we will close with next steps and, of course, leave time for questions and discussions. So rather than starting with the project results itself, we want to begin with a broader perspective. And to set the scene, we're very happy to open this with an interview that looks at how networks, innovation, and cities interact in practice. And we are delighted to welcome Helen Sildner for this, let's say, interview. Helen is the CEO, founder, and owner of Shiftworks in Estonia, in Tallinn, Estonia. And she is the head of Tallinn Music Week Station Nava Festival that Shiftwork runs. Helen, you have received several honors and accolades for your work, including the Estonian Order of the White Star for your contributions to the Estonian music life and civil society. But I think even more importantly in this context, you're an expert in connecting music, innovation, cities, and societies. So Helen, we are very happy to having you here. And I would start with a question. From your point of view, why do innovation and networks matter so much for the music sector right now, especially when we look at cities and local or regional music ecosystems?
Hello, good morning, and so nice to see you, Fabian, and many familiar faces in here as well. And as far as I see from the participants list, I'm very happy. I've seen many of you in Tallinn as well over the years. Shocking to myself as well, we're running into the 18th of Tallinn Music Week, which is really crazy. Years run by really quickly, but I guess since 2009, when we started, it's all about actually the core of it has been in establishing, building, strengthening networks and kind of figuring out what the purpose of networks is and what's the benefit for it and how we can kind of strengthen these circulation of information and vitamins, or how can we say, sometimes when I think about networks, I have this visual image in front of me. It's a little bit like light cables reaching into these beacons of lighthouses or something like that. So that's the kind of image that I usually have visually in front of me. And I think it's very much the same what you guys are doing with the MyRap project in a very powerful sense, is that collecting people, minds, ideas, knowledge, and experience together and then figuring out how this information and knowledge can travel, and how more and more people can benefit from this shared knowledge that we have as a sector. Sometimes, I don't know, how many of you were watching Bad Bunny at Super Bowl? I'm still yet to see it fully, but I don't know. For me personally, it was a little bit yet another reminder of sometimes we forget, how the content of music, maybe it sounds a little bit of a cliche, but maybe sometimes we need a little bit of a reminder that we have something in our hands as a sector that can reach beyond borders, that can reach beyond also the silos that we've built in our kind of societies. Something is to do with city development, something is to do with tech, something is to do with sports, whatnot. But somehow, sometimes we reach these moments where we build a cultural contact and it touches people from across the sectors. We have this form of arts in our hands that in the music sector we use, but at the same time, I think what you guys have been doing with this project as well beautifully is kind of building out this web behind it that kind of connects the dots and puts the work behind the kind of powerful impact moments to place, so that I think making change is something that we all strive for in very many different angles. And I'm always a bit like Fabian, thanks for introducing me and saying the name of the Shiftworks, which is always a mouthful to pronounce, but kind of the name of our company when we kind of rebranded ourselves around 10 years ago as well was to look at the word shift and the work that needs to happen behind a shift or a change to take place. And I think the core of this work is indeed networks. And I think, I mean, the power of working within Europe, EU, in the context of Interreg, whatever, is that this is all kind of facilitating for us to come together. I see there's like 41 of us here at the moment. And that's already like a proof of kind of across all these countries, putting together what we know and then building something from it. But I don't know, Fabian, you probably want to ask more specific questions. That's the kind of like mindset behind why we built Tallinn Music Week all together. Having a festival for us is basically a tool, and a tool with a purpose to indeed do what you guys do, build innovation networks.
Absolutely, and thanks for bringing up Tallinn Music Week, which is a quite interesting example. So Tallinn Music Week in Estonia, showcase, festival, and conference. For those who haven't heard about this, I think it's currently on the BBC list where you should go this year in cultural terms. So please do so. But when you think back to your journey from Tallinn Music Week with working more broadly on this topic, was there a moment when you realized that networks and perhaps innovation can really change how a city's music ecosystem work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes the work that we do works in a snowball effect of layers. I think we started out Tallinn Music Week with a very, very clear core goal, and that core goal is still there, to create more international opportunities for Estonian and regional artists and talent. But then when we started walking this path, we understood that there are other layers that we can tap into. I mean, very soon we were starting to work with the Tourist Board of Estonia, with the city of Tallinn, to see if we can add another layer to the festival aside of the music industry kind of core competence and goals. That can we do something for the city and the region also in terms of, I don't know, attracting more tourists into the Tallinn, making Tallinn more visible as a city through creativity, music and arts. And then I think that also gave us another dimension as an organization, that we understood that this goes really hand in hand, that we work for the industry goals that we have. But I think for us at Tallinn Music Week, it's always very important to constantly reach out to the end users, I mean, the citizens and the tourists in the same way. And I think the interesting moment happens when you start understanding the spillover effect, that the industry element is always going to be strengthened if the end users, the citizens, the kind of like customers, the music lovers, the fans are kind of also intertwined into the process. I think sometimes that could be a weakness of some of the initiatives that we do. We kind of go really, really deep into the industry, but then we kind of like forget from our mindset that, okay, but who is this eventual kind of beneficiary from the work that we do? It's basically the people and the society. And I think for us, the interesting growth path has been really to see how the core goal of having clear results for the artists and the music sector, but reaching this over to what can we do for the citizens, what can we do for the image of the country, branding of the city, what can we do for the European values that we all share, what can we do for this general mindset of, I don't know, free thinkers and general, I don't know, tolerance, openness in the societies. It's a bit like these all these things support each other, because I think it's very natural. It comes very natural that connected to music culture, you can be really supportive of, I don't know, free speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression in all kinds of ways, and then you very, very quickly go over to this kind of very basic human values that we share as well, and that kind of gives a purpose back to the organization as well. So it's kind of connecting all the dots on the way.
Absolutely, and I fully agree with you. Let's shift the focus a little bit on the topic of innovation and networks and narrow it down a little bit more, because I know that Estonia especially is a very tech-driven country, very innovative, quite some success stories. So from what you've seen also with regards to the music industry, what actually makes networking innovation work in practice and not just on papers, because this has been a topic in a lot of regions and cities right now.
Yeah, I mean, the like a little fun fact was that when we started in 2009, one of our first sponsors at that time was Skype, who still at that time existed and wasn't owned by Microsoft yet, and was an independent startup company with a head office based in Tallinn. And that kind of immediately very much put us into collaboration with the tech and startup sector in Estonia as well. And when the founder and the head of the organization, Skype company, said what's the purpose of them supporting Tallinn Music Week, it was for them very clear that, okay, we want Skype to be like a talent hub that brings tech talent over to Tallinn, but we want this living environment for the families and the kind of kids of the developers of the tech company to be interesting, diverse, and exciting. So we support what you do because it helps us to do what we do. And that was the kind of like very basic core level of our collaboration. And all through the years, we've been really, really working closely with, I don't know, doing hackathons and tech hacks and everything like that. And something I want to say, which I think we can continue learning from that sector a lot, is that I think our weakness in the music sector is attracting capital and resources. And somehow I think the tech sector is, their mindset is very much, they don't have like any also shyness about it. It's a bit like, I have a product, I have an idea, I have a vision, I'm going to go and seek for investment and capital and kind of like-minded partners. And I think from this mindset, there is something very beautiful we can learn also mentally in the music sector, that here's this attractive idea that I think resonates with a bigger part of the society. Who could be my partners in this? And I think when we talk about networks and innovation, I really think we need to reach out across these silos in the sector more, because this is where the real learning works. Even if we learn the mindset of a tech company, that we don't only need support or sponsorship or state support or city support. Sometimes we need investment, and we can kind of analyze better what is the return on investment. Sometimes we can kind of swap the thinking pattern that, in a way, I also offer a service to the city of Tallinn. In a way, yes, they support me and they fund me, but at the same time, I am offering them, I don't know, tourism and hotel accommodation places filled in a low season of tourism, etc. I think what we can learn from the startup sector is not only the tech tools, but also the mentality of, what's the value and what are the assets that we offer to our society, to our funders, to our partners, and kind of like be more proud and confident in stepping up that, no, it's not actually support that I need, it's your investment that I need, because I give value back, which is translatable in another way. So I think, maybe you were looking for more to me to talk about like how the tech has helped the music sector. But I think for me, the biggest learning curve has been the kind of mental shift of how to analyze the value or the value offer that we have as a sector, and then to reach out clients, investors, partners, being much more confident in what's our offer on the table.
Yes, totally. And if I can sum it up, I think this is a strength of our sector, that we offer both, like the cultural part, but also the economic part. It's two sides of the same coin, and we should be aware of this, and not think in silos, and reach out to other sectors and open ourselves and speak more with other sectors. I have a very practical question at the end for you. So all the people, and if all the people listening today take one idea back to their own local context, their own local sector, their own local music ecosystem, what would you want that to be?
Wow. I think that's always, to say one thing is always really, really cool. I think it is indeed go back in thinking of the impact that the kind of art of music offers us, and how we can sort of be confident enough to kind of all the time to uplift and upgrade the impact, and then to partner up with all the time new partners, not only just doing a copy paste of the partnership types we've done over the years, but always have in our mind, who have I not reached out yet? And what could be my talking point is like, what can I offer them? Why do they need me? And what is my value that I can reach out? I think as a sector, we constantly need to kind of step across these borders, what already has been done. And that's the core of innovation. And if you go towards innovation, there's always going to be resistance. You're stepping into a territory which is somehow either unfamiliar or somebody else thought it was their territory. So I think we have to have this kind of like courage and confidence as well, that, but always going also with empathy. That is not what I want from you, but it's like, what is it that I can offer to you? And I think that then is when we see our sector growing, and we see the kind of impact of our sector in sum total expanding. And we need our sector to grow, right? Because we know that the amount of talent that we have around us deserves for this sector and market to grow. Maybe something like that.
that is very inspirational and something that I will definitely take back to Hamburg and in my daily work. Thank you very much, Helen, for your wise words and setting the stage to this. I'm still always, when I'm in Tallinn, very impressed what you're doing there. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts here, and all the best for this year's Tallinn Music Week happening in April.
Yeah, have fun today and have a great seminar. You have a beautiful network and good to see everybody. Thanks, Fabian and Mantautas. I see a familiar face. I see good friends over here as well. And April, put it in your calendar, second weekend of April, right after Easter. Have a good day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Helen. Goodbye.
Bye.
So that was Helen Sildner from Tallinn Music Week. And we're now getting into the core context, what MyRep has been doing in the innovation part. But I would like to start with an introduction what MyRep actually is. So, and how today's session connects to the general project. So MyRep is basically a project consisting of 9 partners. You see a few of us here. I will briefly name them. So as Hamburg Music, we are the lead partner. We have the Leuphana University in Lüneburg, the Musikkontoret Music Office Möst in Oslo. We have Gothenburg & Co. We have the Regional Council of Ostrobotnia, Music Estonia from Tallinn, Music Latvia from Riga, the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre, and especially the Music Innovations Studies Center in Vilnius, and the Municipal Center for Culture in Bydgoszcz in Poland. And almost 2.5 years ago, we all sat together in a room, and as you can see, we are people from different countries, from different music ecosystems in the Baltic Sea region. And even though our regions were different, we quickly noticed something, that we were all facing the same challenges. So digital tools were changing how we work, and many organizations were struggling to find skilled people. And of course, sustainability was becoming increasingly important. So we agreed on one key point early on. So these challenges cannot be solved alone. They are shared challenges and they need shared responses. But at the same time, we were very clear that real change happens locally. You have seen the example from Helen and Tallinn Music Week. And music ecosystems are different everywhere, and local actors know their own needs best. But we also know that working together across borders helps everyone move faster and learn more. And this is why MyRep exists. We wanted to connect local actors, give them access to shared knowledge, tools, and networks, and support them in building stronger and more resilient music ecosystems. And in this case, this is a transnational cooperation in the Baltic Sea region. So instead of writing very long reports, we focused on very practical tools. And together we developed tools in 3 key areas: skills and labor, sustainability, and innovation and networks. This is what we are talking about today. These tools were created together as a group, in the partnership, and then tested in real music ecosystems. So in our partner cities and regions, which can be, let's say, smaller cities, but also larger areas and capital areas. And each partner used the tools to respond to local needs, while at the same time helping to improve them for others. This way, we learned from each other across borders in the Baltic Sea region, and we shared what worked, what did not work, and what could be improved. So it was a exchange between us and a constant learning curve. And over time, this also built long-term cooperation between the partners, and so we could combine local experience with the international exchange. And basically, this is what this webinar series is all about: sharing the tools, the learnings, and our experiences, and showing how they can be adapted to different, and in this case, to your local contexts. So what you see here is basically a graphic depiction of what MyRep is all about. You see as the umbrella, the Music Industry Resilience Acceleration Program, a very long name, so we like the acronym even more. It's quite catchy. And you can think of this as a toolbox. And this toolbox has 3 different compartments. On the left side, you see the compartment skills and capacity. Then you have in the middle the compartment for innovation, and then we have the compartment for sustainability. And in each of these compartments, you find different tools for fixing different challenges or problems in your own ecosystem, and in this case also in our ecosystems. So we will concentrate today on the part of innovation and networkings, and together with colleagues from Hamburg Music, from MUST and the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theatre, we will present a selection of innovation and networking tools developed and tested within MyRep. And this focus is very practical. We want to show you how these tools work, what problems they address, and what we have learned from applying them in our regional context. After that, we will wrap it up with the next steps and, of course, leave time for questions and discussions. So let's start with the first tools that are going to be presented by my colleague Sophia from Hamburg Music. And Sophia, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you, Fabian. I tried to take over, but I think that works perfectly. So you can see the next slide, hopefully. Yes, great. Yeah, as Fabian said, I'm Sophia. I'm working for Hamburg Music, and I want to tell you what tools we were working on the field of innovation. So first, we looked at innovation from different angles. So we tested 4 different tools to be able to cover the wide field of innovation, also to address different target groups. So for example, the networking events, they were really mainly for beginners to get an overview of innovation, or especially AI. We started every networking event with a short talk or a panel with experts, for example, from the music industry who are already working with AI. And then afterwards, we opened the space for exchange and the possibility to connect with each other. The AI dossier, within this tool, we interviewed music companies on the topic of AI, and this was mainly to collect information. In the innovation training program, this was a step further than the networking events, because we took a deeper look and more practical focus on AI with on-site workshops, for example, on the topics of AI and live entertainment, and also AI and data and so on. And then we also had the innovation coaching program. And this one aimed to improve innovation directly within the company. And this is the one I want to talk about now a little bit more. So first, starting point is always kind of the same. It's always the same reasons why companies do not work on innovation. One main reason is limited resources, so financial and also human resources. SMEs companies do not often have enough time or capacity for innovation opportunities, because there's a really strong focus on the day-to-day business. So running the business comes first, and then innovation feels like more like an extra task. And they're not really willing to take this risk, because they don't really know whether all of this will pay off in the end. And also, innovation can feel really abstract because many companies don't know where to start and what innovation could actually mean for them in the end. So what we did, like some key facts for our innovation coaching, was beginning end of March with the concept, doing some research, how the innovation coaching could look like. And it ended in the end of September. So 6 months all in all. We had 18 hours of coaching per company. The coaching should be finished within 3 months during summer. And we had 11 applications from different music companies. And in the end, we have chosen 3 of them. I will come back to that in a second, why we have chosen them and who are these applicants. And we had 2 innovation experts. In the end, it was a 1-to-1 coaching. So 1 expert was coaching 2 companies and 1 was only there for 1 company. Yes, so let's have a closer look to our participants. In the application, we asked the applicants about their motivation and what they want to achieve actually within innovation. And we kept the application quite open because innovation can be so different. Like there's technical innovation, strategic innovation, creative or organizational innovation. And in the end, we selected companies mainly based on how well this motivation letter was written, where we saw kind of potential for sustainable change. And also, it was about the type and the size of the company, because we thought like bigger companies could probably more likely afford such a coaching on their own. So we focused on smaller companies. And in the end, we have chosen 3 of them. The first one was a booking and concert agency, and they wanted to develop innovation within existing structures. Then we had the second company, also a booking and concert agency, but a smaller one. They wanted to build clear roles and responsibilities from scratch. So really establish a way of working together from the beginning. And the third company was the most advanced one when it comes to innovation, because they wanted to know how to use new tools, AI, to speed up and improve their processes. So yeah, 3 completely different companies. And our experts, we found them most of the time online. One organization we already knew from some workshops we have already done with different cases. And we had some interviews with them. So to really see or, see what's the approach from the experts on this topic. And after selecting the companies, we sent out the company's motivation letters and their backgrounds, and then asked the experts again if they really felt like they could support these companies. And after that, we decided which company would be a good match with which expert. And what is quite interesting is that the experts weren't from the music industry. And the companies later told us that it's really good that they're not from the music industry, because it allows them for more openness and also less concern about confidentiality. So let's have a look on how we did it. I already said we started end of March. The open call was end of April. Then we did the selection of the experts and also of the applicants, the participants, companies. Then we had our kickoff in June. It was an on-site kind of workshop where we were talking about innovation. And also it was the first time where the participants and the experts got to know each other, because they haven't met before, because we did the matchmaking. And yeah, so there was the kickoff for all of them. And then the one-on-one coaching started. This was not my concern, so this was completely up to the experts and the companies. They could do kind of whatever they wanted to do with these 18 hours, to have it on site, to have it online, half day or the full day. But there was another peer learning session, which I organized end of August. Some companies, I think 2 of them, have already finished with the coaching. One, there were only, I don't know, 1 or 2 sessions missing. And there we met only with the companies without the experts, to allow them to speak freely what they have done within this coaching, what went well, what didn't, and yeah, just to exchange. And in the end of September, I just sent around a short online survey for us to have more feedback from the experts and also from the companies. Yeah, and in the end, we can say, or I can say that I think it really helped companies to take first or further steps in innovation. The peer review was really good. In the picture, you can see all the companies sitting together at one table, exchanging ideas. And I think, or we think, it's always good also in the industry to help each other, because there are some companies who are already further or were struggling with the same problems as others did. So we should really support each other. And I think these peer reviews, or this peer review, was really good. And maybe it's always good to have these things, or maybe to have them more often even. And also, of course, matchmaking is key. And I think in the end, maybe participants should choose the experts by themselves, because in this coaching, we did the matchmaking, but we knew the companies. So we knew the people behind. And that's why I think we could do kind of a good matchmaking, because in the end, it's not only about the professional part, but also about the personal part, if they could work together, which is quite important. And what is quite nice in the end is that one coaching is still ongoing, because it was such a good match with them. They wanted to keep going, and they found a way to pay the expert. And in that case, it was with concert tickets. And I think it's quite nice that they agreed on something like that. Yes, that's what's my point, my talk. Thank you. If you have any questions, I don't know, there will be questions in the end as well, but I don't know if there's something important right now. Fabian, yeah, back to you.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's keep the questions at the end, so we can combine it, because I am now talking about the TechTrack tool. So coming from one tool to another. Normally, this would have been the stage for my colleague Mari-Lee from Music Estonia. However, unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. So I will give a broad overview, although not being the real expert here about this tool, because we think this is a very interesting tool, and we as Hamburg Music already looking into how to apply this in Hamburg. So TechTrack was developed to give a structured space to innovate with technology. So a bit of a background. The music, we found out that the music and the tech communities weren't naturally connecting, and that the music sector lacks access to tools, knowledge, and collaborators, which are needed for innovation. So there was a need for a structured environment where different professionals and creators could learn, test, and build together new solutions, new prototypes. And in this case, this is very specific to Estonia. They have a very strong tech culture, but it wasn't translating into solutions for the music industry needs. So what we found out during our research is that most existing incubator, accelerator programs, and let's say EU music tech programs focus on already formed teams or startups. So TechTrack addressed this missing early stage by combining selected elements of hackathons, accelerators, and incubators into, let's say, a calmer and more community-based pathway from idea to prototype. And this was specifically designed, in this case, for the needs of the music tech sector and extended with incubation support for the most promising teams. And what you can see here are the elements and the time frame that Music Estonia used to implement TechTrack. So it started on December 20 in 2024, where the registration opened. On February 6th, there was this first session. They had a keynote on trends in music tech, but also a workshop on inspiration and idea generation. This was followed by the second session with keynotes on AI in music and a workshop on concept development and initial prototyping, and a final session where the keynote was on fundraising in music tech and a workshop on pitching and final prototyping. And the final pitching happened during Tallinn Music Week last year, and jury selected 3 winners, and they could take part in an incubator program which consisted of further mentoring, training, and conference access and networking. So what you see here is a selection of pictures from this whole process. What they did is they invited mentors from tech music industry and from the tech industry and the music industry for these international keynotes. In this case, as an example, Karim Fanous from then Abbey Road Red Studios on the history and future of music technology. All in all, there were over 45 participants, and they generated during this process 12 ideas. And from these 12 ideas, 6 finalists were selected to present their case at Tallinn Music Week at the final pitching. And then 3 startups were selected to run through this incubation process. And it all came down to 3 workshops during this whole process. So ideation, prototyping, and the pitch. So the classic startup sequence. And as I mentioned, 3 winners were selected for a 6-month incubation program. What are some key takeaways and also some next steps coming from this? So we realized that TechTrack is just a first step, a first program, and the next phase would both need public and private sector support. Helen mentioned this in her remarks about funding, and there needs to be a further connection between and building of the music tech company. So Music Estonia is thinking about the TechTrack hub. Just in general, this model, this tool is very scalable and applicable to a lot of ecosystems. Like I said, we are looking into this and doing this in Hamburg. But what we have figured out during the testing is that more pre-events would be very useful, because we saw some knowledge gap in between the participants, and there should be more time and events for the ideation and the hack part. So this was very dense, which was nice in this case. However, more time equals in better results. And we haven't mentioned this before, but we have a website, myrep.eu, where you can find all these information also, and the step-by-step guides and learnings on this website. And also there you will find a contact to my colleague Mary Lee, who ran this tool, this implementation, and she can answer all related questions. So this brings me from Tallinn to Vilnius, and I will hand over the digital mic to my colleague Mantautas. Please, Mantautas.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Some familiar names and some new friends. I think I took over the presentation. All is good. I will talk about our pilots, our work we have been doing within the scope of this project in Vilnius, which would hopefully be interesting and useful for you as well. We call it mapping accelerating city music ecosystem. So the idea behind this was that maybe we can look what kind of actors and processes we have in our city, and then we can see how they interact, what is lacking, what kind of imbalance we might find there, and then how we can improve it, and so to say, what kind of next actions we can take. Our approach was research-based, as we are a higher education institution, which is very much involved also with the stakeholders in our music ecosystem, because Lithuania is not a big country and Vilnius is not a big city, so usually a lot of people who are in some key positions or are some interesting creators or graduates or in a way somehow interacted with our institution. We also thought that we will use our international networks, like colleagues who are also researching innovation and creativity in other cities, mainly in Montreal and Barcelona, who are known for their creative industry and music industry as well. There is this Mosaic Creativity and Innovation Research Network, which is coordinated by HEC Montreal in Canada. And together with experts from 6 countries, we looked, based, of course, on interaction with local stakeholders in Vilnius, how we can create this mapping exercise. And I want to present you a little bit about the process as well as the results shortly. And main thing is that it's just an example how maybe you could do the same in your city or your environment. So the principle was that, the question was, of course, mainly about Vilnius and about our city, and we want the result to be actionable, and we are in contact and trying to work also with the city council to maybe solve some of the problems we discovered through this process. However, altogether, it was just about how can we design this model or process which can be adapted, and we tried it out in our city, which of course leads to these 2 wide questions. You can see how we can actually strengthen our ecosystem, how we can make it more resilient, and how everybody can, interact and grow together. So in the end, we chose to basically map and visualize everything. We had a lot of post-it exercises, trying to map stakeholders and basically things which is happening to several systematic layers. Main thing which we used, which usually Mosaic is focusing on, trying to distinguish the ecosystem into several main layers, which are essentially underground layers, middle ground layers, and upper ground layers. So, and also, of course, there is always this axis, which one is more like creation and innovation and experimentation, and another axis is like exploitation. So basically moving the thing to audiences and audiences themselves. So you can group all the actors and all the stakeholders according to these 2 approaches. So, for example, you can have underground creators like DIY artists or students, and some micro events, informal promoters, informal jams, and things like that. And then you can also have upper ground, like important festivals and institutions and ministries. However, Very similarly, actually, what Helen was talking about, also what we saw in previous examples, that for the ecosystem, main thing is to nurture the environment. And to nurture the environment, you need coupling, you need these middle grounds, which create, grassroots and underground with the institutional bigger entities. And we also well, there are some other examples which we used, like trying to group them, because we thought that it might be also interesting to distinguish the types of people. And it all led to actually, based on this design thinking principles, creations of imaginary personas based on some interviews we did with the stakeholders and things we saw on the internet and the experts we had involved into our process. Empathy is very important, as Helen mentioned. So why don't we try to imagine what is important for a particular person, which represents a certain layer of this middle ground, upper ground, and lower ground structure, what's important to them, what they're aiming for, and what problems they see. Of course, I mean, it's based on the input from the real people, but the personas are anonymized and maybe a blend of some different interviews and some different personas. I'll just skim through these cards, but I think it was also a very useful exercise to try to empathize and imagine, actors in the ecosystem, not just as some abstract thing, but as a human person with their own dreams and needs and problems, right? And after all, we tried to kind of, in the end, with these post-its, try to map main organizations and also see where those personas could fit in on these two axes, like axis from creation, experimentation towards dissemination and audience, as well as from underground, informal, and visible, and institutional, visible, upper ground. And in the end, we we kind of noticed that actually we are missing quite a bit of actors in the middle, like that we have some, some things there and some things there, but like this coupling where you could connect, creators with audience and dissemination, as well as some coupling mechanisms and maybe institutions or maybe spaces, places, and events, which could help connect the underground with upper grounds, or, for example, informal with formal. And I don't know, grassroots collectives, for example, with some major festivals, that there were not enough of these kind of actors and mechanisms. And that led us to come up with some solutions and suggestions, which are summarized in the reports. And now we are trying to make them into some actionable strategy, and contributes towards new iteration of new strategy for cultural industry for Vilnius city, which might lead to some maybe new financing mechanisms. We will see. So it's just to summarize that, like cultural mediators, independent curators, and connectors, as well as programmers and scene builders, and building the environments where these kind of activities can grow. They can actually accelerate and ensure the flourishing and growth of ecosystem, and is actually very much beneficial for everybody, and might help these concrete issues, which you can see here mentions as issues we discovered as kind of probably main problems in Vilnius, which we would like to solve, or contribute towards solving them, because it's not an easy process. Of course, it's continuous thing, because you solve one problem, maybe another pops up, and there are always different things like challenges, like pandemics or wars and things like that. But nevertheless, if you have strong system, you might have Also, like strong ecosystem, I mean, you might have enough resilience that if some new issues come up, the ecosystem adapts. And for that, this middle ground to our understanding is extremely important. So building bridges, building middle grounds. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it for this moment. I just wanted to say that like how you can adapt it, how it can be useful for you and for your situation. Of course, is that it can be um, um, this mapping exercise, stakeholder mapping exercise, and these types, to seeing how it is in your system or environment, as well as something we call solution cards, where you define space, place, and events as a certain middle ground procedure, which would fit your situation, and then try to solve and build these coupling mechanisms could be useful and beneficial to our understanding, so that everybody can everybody can try it. So it's like a basically workshop-based mapping toolkit, some visual templates and solution cards, as I mentioned, so that you can diagnose your local ecosystem, map roles, relations, structural absences, mobilize diverse actors for change, prototype strategic solutions. And yeah, we can also be very happy to offer or let's say suggestions or answer any questions you might have. So thank you for this moment, and we proceed to Oslo.
Thank you very much, Mantautas. And I think one good example of this middle ground is what Trond from the Musikzentrum Möst has been doing, connecting different actors. So Trond, please tell us more what you have been doing in Oslo.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Trond Mo Larsen from Oslo, representing the regional music office called Musikkontoret Möst. I'll be sharing a tool that we tested, which we called Spaces and Places. We chose this focus because in Oslo, like in many other cities, we see not just a challenge, but a paradox that we have talents struggling to find affordable space in the city, places to work, to rehearse, to produce, to develop startups, or simply just meet others who work within the music or creative industries. And we have lots of vacant spaces and empty buildings. We have this municipality who actually owns around 150,000 square meters of vacant space. And the same municipality has a political ambition to become one of Europe's leading cultural capitals. And we see every day that the cultural entrepreneurs are forced out of the city or forced out of the cultural industries. Of course, we have private property developers who are increasingly measured on social and environmental sustainability. Yet often criticized for housing deserts and short-term profit focus. And again, we have the talent struggling to find the affordable space, but more importantly is that we see a lack of natural dialogue between the talent and public and private property owners. So that's why we asked, how can we bring culture with this little fellow with a guitar on his back, real estate and planning to the same table to explore new ways to make music part of urban development. Of course, there's a lot of different actors to consider, and we all looked at different stakeholders, but we had a clear focus on these three main groups. We started with a hypothesis that they all share a common goal, and would benefit from a vibrant living music city. So what did we do, and what is the tool we are sharing here? We began with in-depth interviews across real estate, municipality planning authorities, and the music industry to better understand the barriers and opportunities and the gaps between them. So from these interviews, we translated the insights into stakeholder profiles. We were looking at barriers and fears, but also value needs and potential contributions. We saw a clear difference in time perspectives and how weak connections between actors often reinforce those barriers. One of them, I would say, cut across all of this, that was temporariness, both as a challenge and as a potential entry point. We pulled this together into a visual summary of the findings, as you can see here, and this also works as a canvas for further research and ideation. We then brought stakeholders from culture, real estate, and the municipality into the same room, and we used a card-based conversation tool built around different scenarios and roles. And the purpose was wasn't to solve everything, but to explore collaboration across sectors and make challenges, barriers, and opportunities visible. So, and this workshop format is the tool we are sharing through MyRep. It's a practical method that others can adapt and use, which you'll find on the MyRep webpage eventually. So I'll share this with you. So we will share a printable card deck with canvases and actor cards. It's a card game, really. Here you can see some examples of different scenarios and different actors, everything from impact investor to political advisor to studio and rehearsal space to the neighborhood. So this will be on the webpage like a printable deck, and of course this will go along with the guidance of how to set up the conversation from scratch and then adapt it to your local context. So in short, this is about sharing knowledge and bringing stakeholders to the same table with the aim of developing new approaches that integrate music more systematically into urban and place-based development. And hopefully this could be a tool that you can pick up, adapt, and use in your own city. And I think that was it. So I'll pass the mic back to you, Fabian.
Thank you very much, Trond. Maybe one thing I was wondering, did you see already some concrete results from these workshops in Oslo?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the results, but it's difficult to pinpoint just a few now. But we have this canvas that's kind of summarized the whole thing. I'll be happy to share that, of course. But we had pinned it down to 4 key insights in addition to like the stakeholder profiles, which was kind of at the core of this. And included in the stakeholder profiles, is of course what do they contribute with and what are the needs. So yeah, it's easier if I share the canvas.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Trond. So this has been a selection of tools that we have developed in the innovation and networking part. And what are the next steps? So MyRep is set up as a step-by-step journey, and we're here to share this knowledge. And right now, you can decide how far you want to go with us. And of course, there's no obligation. And just to be clear, all offerings that we are doing now are free of charge because we believe in sharing the knowledge between us. So stage 1 of this journey is what you are part of right now. We call this stage Discover. It is open to everyone and includes 3 online webinars like this one. We had already one on sustainability, and there will be one next week on Wednesday on the topic of skills and capacity. And the goal is quite simple. We want you to get inspired to understand the tools and to see or have a first glimpse into which ideas or tools might be useful for your city or region. From there, we are going to stage 2, and we call this Explore and Fit. And this stage is about asking a very practical question. Would this tool you're interested in actually work in my local context? So if you want to, you can take part in an online deep dive session, meeting peers from our other regions and explore how the tools could be adapted to your city and region. And the final stage, in the final stage, we have a very small group, which moves to stage 3, and we call this Commit and Development. And here, participants work step by step on a real local case, on your real local case. So you will receive one-to-one coachings, detailed feedback, and support to turn an idea into a ready-to-use concept. And you get the chance to present this at the Reeperbahn Festival conference in September this year, 3rd weekend of September. So what is important to know, you don't have to decide anything today, but if you're interested, you can simply start by filling in the survey. I will show you on the next slide. You can see this as an entry point, and you can just simply start by telling us what feels relevant for you, and everything else builds on your interest and your local needs. Now you can see a QR code on the screen, and this links to a very, very short survey, and it's mainly there to help us understand who might be interested in going one step further with us with MyRep. And in this survey, you can tell us which tools or topics caught your interest and whether you could imagine exploring them more deeply in stage 2. Again, no commitment involved. It's just a simple way for us to see what resonates with you and to shape the next phase in a very meaningful way. So if you have a moment now, feel free to scan the code and fill it in straight away. If not, absolutely fine. We will send the survey link and the slides by email at a later stage, so you can then complete it later. And final words, your input here really helps us to bring the right people around the right topics for the next stage. So we would be very happy if you could fill this out. I'll just give you a short moment right now before we move to the Q&A. Good. So let's move to the Q&A, and let's open up the floor if you for short question and answer sessions before we fully wrap up today's webinar. So if you have any questions, thoughts, or quick reflections, this is a good moment to share them, and please raise your hand if you have a certain question. So I can't see any questions right now, which is completely fine. If you have any questions later on, you can always reach out to me. You will find my contact details at the end of the presentation. But I would also like to highlight our website, myrep.eu, where you can find all contact details from the different partners. There's one question right there. Michelle, please.
Hi, I'm going to keep my camera off if you don't mind.
No.
So I'm Michelle and I work in Sunderland in the UK, and we're part of the Music Cities network. So I think information about these webinars came from Lena and Timo from the Music Cities network. So I guess my question is, what is the link between this project and Music Cities network? Or is there not a
Yes,
link?
very good question. There is a link. So some of our partners in this consortium, Hamburg Music and Gothenburg & Co., are members of the Music Cities network, and all these tools can be perfectly implemented by, let's say, public authorities or business support organizations that also form the core membership of the Music Cities network. So the Music Cities network is concerned with the same questions and the same way of sharing knowledge. And we saw early on that this is a very good fit because we work on the same issues, and this MyRep website, all the information after this project ends, so it has a 3-year period. It will be transferred to the Music Cities network web space, because this is the first go-to point to find information on music ecosystem development and music city related questions. There are more links about this, but these are probably the most important ones.
Okay, cool. So I guess why I'm asking specifically is that we're doing a piece of work at the moment which is around mapping the music ecosystem. So the Vilnius, beautiful city, by the way, the Vilnius presentation was of particular interest because we're grappling with these issues at the moment. And actually Gabia from the Night Office isn't part of this research group. So I really want to plug into what Vilnius are doing. It sounds brilliant for what we're doing as well to help our thinking.
Absolutely, and this is the perfect case where we can support you in the next steps. This is what these online deep dive sessions are all about in the next step. So we can provide you with the knowledge how we did it. So you can meet up with, in this case, with Mantautas and discuss it more in detail, how they have actually done the mapping, and see if this fits to the Sunderland mapping process, and even better if Gabia from Nighttime Office in Vilnius is there, then you have an even better connection.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great.
And you are very welcome to also get into direct contact, or maybe you can have online meeting together with you and Gabi, and then we can see how we can help.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much for these remarks and the questions, Michelle. Any other questions at this stage? If not, we are more than happy to receive your questions via email and answer them. So please take your time, fill out the survey. We'd be very happy to see a lot of interested participants in the next steps of MyRep. And let's wrap up the session for today. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Thank you very much to my co-presenters from MyRep, and thank you very much to Helen. Wishing you all a very good day, and hope to see you soon, either in next week's webinar on skills and capacity or in the online deep dive session, and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.